The marshmallow test is a psychologist comes into a room with just a table and a chair, and the little kid is sitting in there, and the psychologist says, "Oh, hi Timmy, how are you? We're going to do a little test today, but you know what? I've got to be out of the room for a minute, so here's what we're going to do." He said, here's the marshmallow, and I'm going to put that down on your table there, and if that marshmallow is still there when I come back, I have another one, and you get to eat them both when I come back. But if I go out of the room and you eat that marshmallow, then you won't get another one when I come back. Okay, you got that? Okay, so the psychologist walks out of the room, and the little kid is left in this room. Nothing's there, table, chair, and a marshmallow. So the little kid, you know, some little kids will just look at the marshmallow, look at the door to make sure the guy or gal, whoever the psychologist is gone, and they just grab up the marshmallow and eat it. That's impulsive. Some little kids try, and they pick up the marshmallow, and they squeeze it, and they kind of pat their cheek with it, and they look out the door, and they're squeezing it, and kind of rolling it around, and smelling it. They're not eating it. They're really trying not to eat it. They're just waiting, and usually a psychologist will have the child wait 3 to 4 minutes. And 3 to 4 minutes with a marshmallow and nothing else is a long time. So they've got this marshmallow, and if they can do it, if they can hold out for the 3 or 4 minutes, the psychologist comes back and goes, "Oh, great, you didn't eat the marshmallow. Here's another one. Now you can eat them both." So that means that child has a lot of ability to delay gratification, a lot of impulse control. So if you were one of those people, check the side on the left there, able to delay gratification. If you were one of the ones that would snatch up and eat the marshmallow before the psychologist got back, you're going to have to circle the impulsive side. All right, the third one was the ability to go to strangers or afraid of strangers. So when you were little, 2, 3, 4, and you were in a situation where you had to go to a stranger, like maybe a babysitter, a new babysitter, or a new visitor that came to your house, or even like maybe to go to kindergarten. If you could go to strangers without a big hassle, you circle that side. If you were afraid to go to strangers, then you circle that side. When I was 5 and my mom took me to kindergarten and the first day of school, I cried and carried on and screamed and wouldn't let her leave me. And so she took me home and spanked me and said, "You're going to go tomorrow with no crying." And so I went with no crying, but I was not happy. So I was afraid to go to strangers. Number 4, in general, were you a happy kid? Were you a happy, smiley kid? Or were you whiny, crying, fussy, just difficult to please? So you circle the happy side or not. The last one, when your mom left the room. If you were in a situation and you were playing and your mom left the room, were you okay with that? Could you handle that and just, continue to play? Or were you worried? Were you anxious and worried about, gosh, is mom going to come back? Gosh, she left me alone. Oh, dear. Uh-oh, what's going to happen now? So either you were okay when mom left the room or worried. Okay, now what I want you to do is realize that these behaviors were tested on thousands of babies, children, various ages. And then they tracked those individuals for 20 years. This is a longitudinal study. At the end of 20 years, when these people were adults, they gave them personality tests again. By the way, they tracked more than just these behaviors. They tested the babies on lots and lots of behaviors. But the ones that they found still prevalent, still in existence, and as an adult, tracked back to being just these 5. So these 5 constellations of characteristics and traits are strong, stable, and predictive of who you're going to be as an adult. There's a caveat to that, but I'll get to that in just a minute. So these characteristics will predict about 60% of personality, behaviors, and characteristics as an adult. So if you were interested in new stimuli as a child, you would tend to be intellectually open as an adult. If you were able to delay gratification as a child, you would be conscientious and have self-control as an adult. If you were able to go to strangers as a child, you were probably extroverted in your behavior as an adult. If you were happy in general as a child, you're probably agreeable as an adult. And if you were comfortable when your mom left the room, you were probably emotionally stable as an adult. So look at the top of page 5, and I want you to circle the way these characteristics that describe you now. Are you open to experience and are you curious? Or are you closed and kind of leery of new stuff? Are you conscientious or are you impulsive? Are you an extrovert or are you an introvert? Are you agreeable or are you kind of cynical and hostile? Are you emotionally stable and kind of calm, or are you sort of anxious and neurotic and things bother you a lot? So circle the side that best describes you an adult, and then look back and see how many of those 5 predicted were borne out in who you think you are now. And as I said, usually it's 3, at least 3 out of the 5 are the same now as they were when you were a child. It could be 4 or even 5 out of 5 are the same. If it's less than 3, then commonly the explanation for that is that something happened. This is who you were going to be, but something like either a serious illness, prolonged illness, loss of a parent, a divorce, which essentially lost the parent to you. One of your parents was no longer around. So those kinds of things can interfere with who you were going to be and turn you into somebody just a little bit different. So just take a look at this overview of the Big 5 on page 5. And by the way, you can take the following assessment, the outofservice.com, Big 5. The bottom of page 5 is the URL for that. So please take that and see what you find out. All right. So hopefully this gives you a broad picture of personality assessments, why we do them, what the usefulness is, and how they can help you understand not only yourself, but other people in order to make you more empathic and more able to work successfully and smoothly with people from all different kinds. Because, you know, the best team has different characteristics and people who are strong in many different areas. And when you pool all your strengths and all your gifts together, you get the best product. But when there's a lot of difference among you, or diversity, it also can lead to a lot of conflict. But if you know and understand why people are different and why they have different motivators and why they have different goals and what's driving them, it tends to lessen the conflict. So you can get the best of both. You can get all the gifts without the conflict. So that's the reason for looking at and trying to understand yourself and other people. Okay, end of this session.